everyone. Welcome to Queer Lawyers Speak, hosted by LAGBAC, Chicago's LGBTQ plus bar association. My name is Adam Zebelian. I'm a partner at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, where I practice family law, and I'm the current president of LAGBAC, Chicago's LGBTQ plus bar association. Today's topic that we will be discussing is the importance of pride. And to discuss that topic with us is two LAGBAC board members, Jared Reynolds and Azar Alexander. Welcome.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Azar, why don't you kick it off? Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Cool. Yeah, Azar Alexander. I'm a board member. I think this is my second term now, so it's been a great time. I'm a current attorney at Northern Trust. So I'll give a little disclaimer that all of the opinions and things discussed are my opinions only and not of Northern Trust.
Good. That's very lawyerly and corporate lawyerly.
Yeah. And I've worked as a big law attorney for a while. Before that, I was a law clerk, both at the Daly Center and then also on the Federal Circuit. And that's it. Let me know what you want to know.
All right. Well, thank you, Azar. Jared, your turn.
Sure. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name's Jared Reynolds. My pronouns are he, him. I'm bisexual, and I am the owner of J.M. Reynolds Law. The opinions will be of J.M. Reynolds. That's me.
What about J.M. Reynolds Law?
Yeah, exactly. I focus on all types of personal injury and wrongful death cases with a large focus on nursing home abuse and medical malpractice cases. And I've been on the board of LAGBAC since 2016, and I'm the chair of the mentorship program.
Very good. Before we get too far in case people are curious, you both have had interesting careers up to this point. Why don't you give a little history of where you've been, where you've worked, and you're at Northern Trust now, you own your own firm, but how you got there?
Oh, sure. So I did undergrad at University of Washington in Seattle and law school at Seattle University. Before law school, though, I was a paralegal. So in between undergrad and law school, I worked as a paralegal. Just to make sure it's what I wanted to really do.
On the West Coast?
No, here, actually.
Oh, okay.
Here, at a big company here. And then after that, my first job out of law school was working at the city, where it was in the Federal Civil Rights Litigation Division. And then after that, I clerked. So I clerked on the Chancery Court in the Daly Center, and then I also clerked on the Sixth Circuit, and then after that I was doing commercial litigation, class actions, and appeals mostly, Riley Sabre Holmes and Kinsella, like a really nice mid-sized firm here, and then I was at Steptoe and Johnson after that.
Which is a large multinational firm.
Yes, and then I had an opportunity of a lifetime to go in-house. So I took it quickly.
The lawyer's dream scenario.
Yeah.
At Northern Trust, which I do litigation, regulatory enforcement, and internal investigations there.
And for the audience members that don't know what in-house means, what does that mean?
Where you represent the company that you work for, as opposed to being their outside counsel.
So you're the lawyer within the company.
Correct.
That is like their personal lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
White glove service.
Yes, all right, very good. But then when it gets a little bit too crazy, you're saying, let's hire someone else.
Yes.
It's a good position to have. It's a lawyer's dream, it really is. All right, Jared, your turn.
Sure,
Let's hear your background.
I'm from upstate New York, very, very small town called Queens Hollow, New York. We had a graduating high school class of 183 people, and I wanted to step up from there with a more sort of happening environment, so I went to a small state school in New York called SUNY Oneonta, but it was like a college town, so it was a little bit more than the rural experience I'd been living my whole life. And then from there, really wanted to go into a city for law school. So I was at SUNY Oneonta, and then I graduated a year early, and I went straight to Chicago-Kent College of Law, and I moved here in 2012, graduated in 2015. I'd clerked as a 7-Eleven all of law school with the Cook County Public Defender's Office, went to law school to become a public defender, even did some public defender clerking in undergrad for like the one public defender of the whole county. But from there, when I graduated, there was a hiring freeze with the Public Defender's Office, so kind of had to really reevaluate what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in a courtroom doing litigation. I knew I wanted to be representing the individual. I'd been really enjoying sort of the interpersonal relations I was making with clients, with public defender work, people who are really at kind of like the lowest moments of their lives. And so it was a really easy transition for me from public defender work to what I ended up starting doing at a fairly sizable plaintiff's personal injury firm where I'm still representing the individual opposed to like an insurance company or the state or things like that. I worked there for several years, focusing a lot on nursing home abuse cases. I then pivoted, did a little bit of defense work for a year just to really get a taste for it, see both sides. I thought it would be invaluable for me as an attorney, and it was.
And when you say defense work, insurance defense work?
Yeah, it was all focused on motor vehicle and premises cases, so I didn't ever do any medical malpractice defense or nursing home defense, but was working for insurance companies and learned a lot of different skill sets there where nowadays I feel like I've seen all sides of litigation and it really helps me advocate for my clients better now. And then in October of 2020, I started the whole entrepreneurial thing, and it's been great. It's every emotion you could ever imagine. It's exciting, stressful, nerve-wracking. Money is always a thing, and but it's really the happiest I've ever been as an attorney, and I really feel like I'm, especially combined with COVID, really forcing us into this century with technology. I really feel like I've been able to be the most efficient and productive and cost-effective I've ever been in my life, and that is just invaluable for my clients. So.
And for you being a sole practitioner.
Yeah, I really don't know if I'd be able to do my firm the way I'm doing it now, but for COVID. I mean, I have no office space, which is just saving so much money. I don't have any employees currently, but also when needed, I sort of can use third parties and delegate things. And so I've become the most organized I've ever been in my life because I have to be. And I think on one hand, I really enjoy kind of having it all to myself. It's my baby, really. Yeah. And I know that things are going to get done because I'm going to do it. And usually it's going to get done right. And if I make a mistake, I own it and it's on me. And I know how not to do that mistake ever again.
Right,
so.
Right.
I really feel it's been a wild 4 years, but I'm really feeling like it's clicking quite well lately. So
very good, very good. So let's talk about coming out in the context of your career, and then we'll talk about pride, because I think it's important to preface that conversation about pride with your own personal experiences.
Related.
Yes. So, Azar, when did you graduate from law school, and when did you come out professionally?
I graduated from law school in 2016 and came out at that time. I guess I was never in the closet.
Okay, all right,
when
fair.
it came to work. I felt like it was really important to be out, only for my own comfort at work, making sure, I don't know if I was trying to be the face of a cause, but I didn't want any problems ever at work, so I usually fronted it, if not during an interview, but shortly thereafter, just to make sure there was not going to be any problems. I know it was something I raised when I was interviewing for a lot of different judges. I, of course, would research judges first, but then also during the interview, I would, talk about, me being, a queer lawyer or a queer student. And most times it was fine, but sometimes, the judge would kind of hint that, I had one judge say during the interview, "Oh, do you think you'd be able to keep those issues at home?"
Oh, wow.
And I said, yeah, I would. And I, continued to have the interview, but then did not go take that job. So it was good to know. I felt like being out was a good decision for me. I felt true to myself.
Now, you clerked for the Sixth Circuit, which is Michigan.
Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee, and Kentucky.
Yes. And that's a federal clerkship. So you clerk for a federal judge. Mm-hmm. And those judges are appointed by the presidents. So those spots are filled by whoever's in office at the time, which could be conservative or Democrat or liberal. So those jobs are fairly political. The Sixth Circuit encompasses very progressive parts of the country and very conservative parts of the country. How was that clerking in the Sixth Circuit when you're you're the brains behind the machine as a judicial clerk.
Yeah, well, when it comes to queerness, there were not a whole lot. It wasn't a lot of representation, to be honest. But I feel like I found my tribe. I think there was maybe one or two other queer people that I knew of from different judges. I think there were around 120 or so clerks. But there were only, I think, one or two, honestly.
Wow.
But I actually had a good time clerking. Didn't feel like that was really ever an issue. You know, the people that I worked with intimately in my chambers were great. My judge was awesome. Judge Damon Keith, rest in peace. He was absolutely awesome and, you know, always a fighter for all rights, including ours. So that was great.
Did you work in Detroit? Is that where the Sixth Circuit sits, or?
That's where he sat.
That's where he. Oh, they're all.
Yeah.
There's.
You can,
Well, then there's districts within the circuits, right?
yeah, well, as a judge, you can sit, or circuit judge, you can sit anywhere in the circuit. So,
Circuit judge. He was a circuit judge, not a district judge.
right.
Got it.
And the
Okay.
circuit itself is located in Cincinnati.
Okay, I see. Because the Seventh Circuit sits here in Chicago, but they could sit anywhere within the Seventh Circuit.
I believe so. At least that's how it worked in the Sixth Circuit. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It applies
All
to
right.
the Seventh,
Interesting.
so.
All right. Jared, same question.
Yeah.
You graduated in 2015?
2015. I think my professional coming out is very intertwined with my personal coming out. I had been in the closet. I came out very late in life, I think, comparably, and I had graduated in 2015. So you figure you graduate in May of 2015. You start studying for the bar. You do it in July. Then you just wait.
Right.
Then you get the results in October, but then you still don't get licensed till November. So it's like the most anticlimactic process in the world. It's like, congratulations, but you can't do anything.
Right. You're a lawyer, but you're not, actually.
Yeah. And so I did thankfully get some time to travel. And then, I mean, very personally, admittedly, for TV, but I had been in the closet for a while and I had been sort of exploring my sexuality. And there came a point in like October of 2015 where I had just gotten the results, so I knew that I'd passed the bar. And I felt very confident.
Right.
It's like, oh, I've only been trying to do this for a while. And in that context, I had met somebody, and I met this boy who I developed a crush on. And it was the first time in my life where I started thinking, I would like to do more than just a physical thing. I would like to be able to hold this person's hand. I would like to kiss and be seen in public without fear. And it was a huge moment for me because I'd never felt that way before about somebody. I always knew I was different. And for me personally too, as like being bisexual, it was just like incredible inner turmoil for a very long time. I think I started really exploring my sexuality like sophomore year of college. And so you figure I graduated a year earlier, so that was like 2 years in college, all of law school. So like 5 or 6 years, I was really kind of internally processing this without talking to anybody. It was a very lonesome journey, I think, from a very conservative area in New York. And so this was very new to me, but I was feeling very emboldened by now being an attorney in Chicago. I thought, what do I care if somebody thinks about me in New York?
I'm on top of the world.
I'm a
passed the bar.
big shot attorney in
Yeah.
Chicago, like stupid stuff. But it's very true in the sense of like this was my biggest secret for years, and it eats away at you. You know, having a secret that you're incredible. Like I ran cross country and track throughout college. I was terrified of the thought of my team finding out. We ate together, we lived together, we showered together. We were a college sports team, you know.
Right.
I was terrified of anybody finding out. I was terrified of anybody finding out in law school for what I perceived as potential professional ramifications that could happen. But yeah, passing the bar really gave me a lot of confidence, and I thought this is the only thing holding me back. And so it really was this moment where I found this person that I really wanted to potentially have a public life with. It didn't work out, but but it was
the first
worth
ones
it.
never do usually.
But it was really worth it, and it really made me kind of think like, okay, I just came out for this boy, but I'm happy I did it. And you know, so I was out socially and with family before I started my ever first like big attorney job. But then it probably took me another year, and I actually remember it distinctly. I wasn't sure how to tell anybody. I didn't see anybody openly queer at the firm that I was working for. And so we were coming up for a year reviews, and I always wanted to like have sort of a cheat sheet of like all the things that I contributed to the firm, including
That's
like
smart.
cases, but also like extracurriculars. And so I had already been on the board at that point of LAGBAC. And so I just sort of quickly put, and I gave this to the partners, and so at the bottom I said board member of LAGBAC, and so like of course the whole interview or like year review goes on, and they get to the bottom and they just go, what's LAGBAC? And so I just rattle it off, and you just see they go, oh, so are you gay? And I mean, if I had $1 for every time I was asked if I was gay, and that's like a big other inner turmoil, as I eventually realized, Jared, you're not straight. But gay never felt right, and it was very difficult for me, and I think I would have come out of the closet sooner had I thought there was any community for me to access. I knew I wasn't straight. I saw this very, in my mind, strong gay presence and community, but none of that felt right. And that goes a lot to bi erasure and all these different things, but it took me a while to sort of, and I've always been adamant in saying that like I'm bisexual, and I think it's important because it's wild, I came out of the closet, and then I did write this sort of public coming out article for like this queer sports organization, and it came out on election day 2016, and so it was this like wild sort of clash between feeling very proud that I made this announcement but also the election happening. But from there, I have countless people that have come to me since then talking about feelings that they have about feeling bisexual and not feeling accepted by anyone. And I think it really, I've looked back a lot on my life, I think especially in my 30s, and there's a lot of factors, but I also was an only child and all these things. And I look back and I see it was a very lonely experience for a long time. And I think coming out really took that away. And of course, then I found community with LAGBAC, and LAGBAC was influential in me coming out as well. So,
Great.
long story.
No, that's good. It was it's interesting because I don't think even our own community, the queer community, hears from people that are bisexual very often.
Yeah, for sure.
The B's oftentimes just overlooked.
Yeah. I always joke. I mean, I joined LAGBAC in 2016, and one of our other board members, Deidre, like we started talking very early because in the beginning, I think we were the only two bisexual attorneys we really knew too well at that point. But at the time we joined, admittedly, like LAGBAC was just the Lesbian and Gay Bar Association of Chicago. And so Deidre and I would always joke like, oh, we're on the board, but where's the B? Where's the bisexual?
Right.
And so I mean, that really has been consistent throughout, I think, my life. And it makes me just look at sort of the whole experience a bit uniquely, I think. But LAGBAC was invaluable in me coming out. I remember sitting in on a board meeting before I had joined the board, and Judge Cecilia Horan was still president. And I just looked at this room full of like what I looked at as like very successful queer attorneys. And I had never seen that before in my life. I didn't know that was possible. Seeing now Judge Horan, who was a partner at Hinshaw, and so I'm like, okay, so you can be a partner and be queer. I don't know how many judges we necessarily had at that point, if any, but over the course of being on the board of LAGBAC, it has been incredibly invaluable. And I think that's like sort of my segue with pride, is that I'm incredibly proud of our community, but especially LAGBAC, because yeah, now I can walk into a courtroom and see a queer judge and know that, okay, I'm gonna be standing in front of somebody that at least sees me as my full sort of self, and I'm able to express myself without fear of retribution. And being on my own now has certainly helped my ability to express myself and feel confident in it, because I'm not reporting to anybody anymore.
That's right. It's good, except for the judge.
Except for the judges still.
Yeah. So Azar, why don't you tell the audience, at least based on your experiences as an queer person, why pride is important and why pride continues to be important.
Well, pride to me recognizes our accomplishments and where we still need to go, both historically, present, and in the future. So I think that that's why pride is really important. What was the second half of the question?
No, that was it. That was it. Why we need to continue moving forward with pride. You know, you hear a lot of these comments from people. There's no straight pride. I mean, it's a dumb comment, but you hear it, and people a lot of times believe, think, yeah, there's no straight pride. Why is that? Well, because currently we have individuals in our community that are under constant attack, trans individuals. In other parts of the country, Chicago's a progressive bubble, but other parts of the country, we're reverting backward. So, yeah, why do you think, personally, we need to keep going with pride and why it's so important that we're out and proud?
Because I think it's part of our collective history. I think that it's pride is something that we are stuck with.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that we're here now and we are happy and out and proud is something that we shouldn't take for granted, but at the same time we could, our mere presence is writing the history book. Our mere presence is giving other countries, other kids, hope, that we don't necessarily always have at top of mind, but is there. I remember feeling the same isolation that Jared felt, coming out. I came out very early. I was a teenager still. So I was very defiant, kind of like, I actually didn't believe in coming out because I thought that it was unfair. And so if I liked someone, I was just going to bring them home. I ended up telling my mom earlier, but that was my philosophy. And
I mean, that is true. It is unfair, but yeah.
But I came also from a very big family. So I have a family of 11 total, but we grew up with a house of 5 kids. And so fairness and, equity was really important in our household, and I'm like, if my brothers and sisters are bringing home their boyfriends and girlfriends, I am too. Yeah. I was like, and what are you guys going to say about it? Just be mad if you're mad. So that was, kind of how I felt about it. But I think that not everyone has an example growing up. I didn't know any gay people. I didn't know any lawyers either. Yeah. And so, our mere presence, I think, is really, really important. And so, I think doing what you're doing shows like this, being visible, and so that people can see us, I think is extremely important to our history going forward, and just the progression of our, our community.
I think of it as a tool, even. I know you'd asked this, and I think of pride in the sense of both personal pride, but pride in the community in the sense that for my whole life, I really focused on being proud of my accomplishments. And I think I did everything to kind of be able to accomplish things because what can you say about me if I'm successful? What can you say about me if I'm accomplishing things? And I think it really took till coming out and being later in my life to have still pride in my accomplishments, but pride in just being myself. And I think that it's exactly what you said in the sense that, I didn't know anybody from the LGBTQ plus community. And of course, coming out, like I said, then all of these people who had similar feelings to me, but also still in the closet, felt comfortable talking to me. And I know at least in the context of chairing the mentorship program, I've seen it double in size over the course of me being in the chair position of it, but also
the mentorship program through LAGBAC, which connects young lawyers or law students with more senior lawyers.
Exactly. But not only that, just the diversity across it has increased so significantly over the years. And I know it's because, as corny as it sounds, representation matters. And that's where I think it's really a tool in that sense that it provides representation to people who might otherwise not see anything. We are in a very fortunate bubble here. But it also gives people tools to, I think, just be more confident in yourself. And I think I'm the most confident I've ever been in my life, largely because of coming out and LAGBAC and the community and people like you two. And you can be more confident in yourself when you have support. And the support is out there. And I think that's what really I always try to say is, I feel like I was in the closet for too long, and I think I don't have any regrets in life, but I feel like sorry for young Jared, you know?
Right.
And I think that
Absolutely.
it's a tool. Everybody deserves to find reasons to be more confident in yourself, especially in the legal profession, when there's plenty of reasons on a day-to-day basis to maybe question yourself. You sort of need to find ways to be more confident in yourself, especially as queer attorneys. And queer attorneys then become queer judges, and we need more queer attorneys. We need more queer judges because judges make a huge difference in people's lives, and we are better advocates for ourselves, but also for our community when we're the best versions of ourselves.
And like you said, representation matters. You have more queer judges, they become friends with the non-queer judges.
Exactly.
Which help them understand what the life experiences are of a queer person.
Exactly.
And so they're more sensitive on the bench to those
Exactly.
issues.
Here in like Chicago, it's always funny because my perspective is like, I think some of my liberal friends sometimes go like, how could some conservative person think this? But like, I know why they can think that because that's how I grew up. Like,
Yeah.
And when we're not building bridges and not like, I know I'm most of my family and most of my communities at home, like only person that they think of when they think of the LGBTQ plus community. And they need more representation, you know? So representation helps everybody think of, you know, our community not just as like some other, you know, as people and hopefully successful people and human, you know?
So pride, I think pride's visibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you, both of you, for coming on here and sharing very personal stories. You've been friends of mine for a very long time, but I learned a lot about both of you, and it's been a pleasure, so thank you. And thank you all for watching. We will see you next time.